Oh. That bodes poorly. Pizza Tower, an absolute marvel of a game made by Tour de Pizza that I recently had the pleasure of playing through. Pizza Tower is like the cheesy love child of the Wario Land series and the vivid art style of 90s cartoons. You play one Peppino Spaghetti, owner of Peppino's Pizza, a restaurant that is seemingly way into debt. While that may be issue enough to spike Peppino's anxiety into the stratosphere, the situation becomes even worse when he meets the game's antagonist, Pizza Face. Yes, the main villain is a floating, taunting pizza. Yes, it's beautiful. Pizza Face goes on to explain that, hey, I've got a giant death laser at the top of my tower, and hey, I'm gonna blow up your restaurant. Because apparently being in debt wasn't enough of a kick to the dick for Peppino. Powered by enough anxiety and spite to match the power of the sun, Peppino chases after Pizza Face and arrives at the main stage of the game, Pizza Tower. Okay, cleared that. So, Pizza Tower is a side-scroller with an emphasis on speed and momentum. As Peppino, your goal in each level is to collect as many points as you can, keep your combo up by defeating enemies and destroying certain objects, and otherwise clear the level as fast and efficiently as possible. Peppino is fast. Real fast. Or at least once you've built up enough speed he is. Holding the run button as you move will build up speed, and once you reach the top speed entirely powered by his own anxiety, Peppino will be fast. Enemies will instantly be run over and defeated, metal blocks will break open without a fuss, and you can even run up walls. Wall running isn't locked to Mach speed, however, since as long as you're holding the run button, you'll be able to climb. That said, running straight first into a wall isn't going to do you any favors. You'll need to jump into the wall to initiate the climb, or if the ground is sloped or inclined towards the wall, you'll just automatically begin ascending. Peppino can also do various other techniques out of his Mach speed state. Pizza Tower borrows ideas from more than just Wario Land, and the Mach speed state takes a lot of inspiration from the speed booster from Metroid. Coincidentally, that inspiration also includes the Shine Spark. By holding up, or the button associated with the ability, Peppino can stop moving, squish himself down towards the floor, and upon releasing the left stick, will launch himself into the sky. You can move left and right slightly during the squash position for precise aiming, and if you press the dash button and the left stick in either the left or right direction during your ascent, you'll pause midair and then dash to the side. Speaking of heights, Peppino can drop out of the sky by pressing down when you jump off a ledge, sending him hurtling down onto the ground, breaking metal boxes, stunning nearby enemies, and otherwise speeding up your descent. If you're running and press down while you run off a ledge, you'll go into a diagonal dive, and when you press the grab button during this, you'll shoot straight down instead. But dashing isn't the end-all, be-all, and sometimes enemies won't give you the time to get up to speed. So what do you do then? Vibe check. Grabbing is multifaceted. It'll let you pick up an enemy or specific items and then throw them forwards or upwards at enemies or targets. If you grab an enemy, jump, and then press down, you'll smash them into the ground. If you're in a run and grab an enemy, you'll spin and automatically throw it at another enemy. Grabbing can also be used to get speed up real quick, as using it while you begin a run will boost your initial speed, and when you grab during or before a jump, you'll perform a longer jump. You can also hold up and then hit grab, allowing you to uppercut your foes. It also functions as a sweet double jump. Peppino can also crouch, and when grabbing, you'll slide on your belly. When you're dashing, you'll go into a roll. The last, and possibly most important tool of Peppino's, taunting. Taunting has multiple purposes, making enemies react faster, such as making projectile enemies shoot their projectiles early. Every time you get 10 points to your combo meter, Peppino will be surrounded by lightning, indicating that you can do a super taunt, which can be executed by pressing up and taunt together, which will clear the screen of all enemies. And if you have perfect timing with your taunts, you can block the damage of an enemy's attack and parry said attack back, defeating the enemy in the process. Also, you breakdance if you hold the taunt button, which is, that's cool. You'll learn most of the basics during the tutorial stage, and some of the more advanced techniques either by experimentation, accident, or from these guys sprinkled throughout the hubs of later floors. This game has so many colorful characters sprinkled throughout. Aside from Peppino, there's Gustavo, the other employee of Peppino's Pizza, Brick, this rat that for a fair amount of the main hub level starts by getting into fights with Gustavo, before they turn around and become friends. There's Mr. Stick, who's here to suck your wallet dry so you can progress, not to mention the bosses, but we can cover them later. And they're also expressive as well. Peppino is brought to life through his animations, and his sprite work is actually insane. The Spriter's resource page for his sprites count him as having 5,283 sprites. Now, to be fair, some of those sprites are labeled as unused or old versions, but still, over 5,000 sprites were made to bring Peppino Spaghetti to life. And that is some freaky levels of dedication right there. Enough talking about the characters though. Pizza Tower is, well, a tower. Our goal is the top floor, but we're a bit stuck. Each floor has a few levels to beat, each with their own gimmicks and themes. The first stage, John Gutter, is kind of like a second tutorial in that it's the test run of everything you've learned so far. Throughout each level are 5 of these cages. Contained within are these guys, the toppins. Collecting these toppins gives you money, which will be needed later. There's also this guy, the janitor, who you'll find somewhere within the stage. He can open the janitor's closet for you so you can grab the secret treasure within. There's also these eyes hidden around. These are secrets, and each are a little stage that are filled with extra points for you to grab during your run. At the end of almost every level, you'll find this guy, Security Pillar John. Running, grabbing, or just hitting him will begin pizza time, and from there, it's a dash back to get to the entrance as fast as possible. I think now is a good time to talk about the music. The soundtrack to this game was composed by Ronan, Mr. Sauceman, De Castal, Klasky Jiddo, Frostix, and Post Elvis. And the entire thing is amazing. About 90% of the soundtrack sounds like someone told the artist that this might be their last song they'd ever make, but for the entire OST. Every track is amazing, fits the vibe of what they're connected to, and gets you hyped for what's happening. And in my personal opinion, there's not many that do this as well as It's Pizza Time. When you enter Pizza Time, you immediately begin with a timer. At this point, you'll need to race it back to the entrance of the stage before it runs out. That said, it's not over if the timer runs out. If the timer does run out, Pizza Face wakes up and will chase the player. If he touches you, you lose. But if you're lucky, you can outrun and outmaneuver him. Another thing that happens when Pizza Time starts are these. These blocks will turn solid, or in other cases become intangible, altering your path so it's much more of a straight shot. Enemies will frequently spawn along this straight shot, but as long as you're being vigilant, you'll breeze through them without major issue. Once you've beaten a level, you can attempt the ultimate challenge known as Lap 2. When you enter Pizza Time, there's Lap 1, and when you get near the start of the level, you can find a portal to start Lap 2. If Lap 1 is running from death, Lap 2 is outright taunting it, as you're essentially doing the whole escape sequence over from the top with whatever time you have left remaining from Lap 1. Upon clearing a level, depending on your score, you'll be ranked on how well you did. The ranks range from D, C, B, A, S, and the illustrious P rank. Each rank has a different musical stinger depending on the rank. D is bad, sounding about as good as your run was to earn that rank. C and B share the same tune as they're the meh ranks. Not bad, but definitely not the best. A is getting somewhere, with a stinger that really pats you on the back for your work. S rank is achieved by getting nearly every source of points in a level, usually double the amounts of points needed for A rank, and the music increases in intensity as well. P rank can only be achieved by doing the prerequisite for S rank, clearing Lap 2, and doing all that whilst holding a combo throughout the entire stage. And for a challenge as daunting as that, sure as hell feels worth it. Each stage and boss also has chef tasks. These are like extra challenges to be completed during a stage. While John Gutter might be a decent test of the waters, the game really kicks into gear with each stage that follows. And as much as I'd like to cover each and every stage in this game in depth, because trust me, there's a lot to talk about and enjoy about these stages, what I'll do instead is go over one aspect of the stage I think is really worth talking about, and maybe another point that I just really enjoy personally. Pizzascape has a distinctly medieval theme that works wonders to its benefit, and the night power-up you get in the stage changes the way you have to think and react to the level design, but not in a way that hinders your enjoyment of the level. Ancient cheese is akin to ancient Greece, as the name would imply, and introduces these cheese blocks that will disappear after a short amount of time once you run across them. Blood Sauce Dungeon is, well, a dungeon, with all these spinning saws, lava pits, and a surprisingly vertical layout to the stage that, while possibly punishing if you're rushing during the descent, makes for a very exciting ascent during pizza time. Oregano Desert has a very Wild West feel to it. Scattered throughout the level are these pizza marks that you need to go through to find this stage's toppings. You also get the Hot Wings power-up, not sure if that's what it's called, that looks to be murder on Peppino's throat. At the end, you run into an alien spaceship and these cows that bounce you. It's a really weird stage. Fast Food Saloon introduces another power-up for Peppino, this sausage thing. It builds up speed really quick and goes real fast. Truly, a most perfect of seeds. In Waste Yard, Peppino literally becomes a ghost. You can move in any direction, no worries about jumping when you can literally float, and due to your intangibility, you can move through these cheese graters. And if that wasn't enough, if you pick up these ghost peppers, you, well, pick up speed. Fun Farm, featuring Mort the Chicken from the hit game, was it? Mort the Chicken. You might be asking how he's here, without issue of copyright. Well, apparently the developer of Pizza Tower just asked, and so, here he is. When Mort is piloting you like the Gundam Anxiety, you can double jump and swipe at enemies with Mort's beak. If you hit these hooks, you'll also be launched upwards. Crushed Cove has these X marks on the ground throughout the level, which upon ground pounding them will pop these treasure chest guys that can be vibe checked for a fair amount of points. There's this pirate that shoots a cannon at Peppino from the bottom of the screen, so you need to be precise in your movements. This stage also stuffs Peppino in a barrel, which, aside from the unstoppable rolling menace that makes him, is just fun to platform with. Gnome Forest is the first stage that has Peppino take a bit of a break and let Gustavo and Brick take the level for a spin. They control similarly enough to Peppino, but also different enough that their whole style of play is familiar, but also extremely fun in its own unique way. Oh, yeah, and you can deliver pizzas in the stage. Remember that spaceship from Oregano Desert? Yeah, so does Deep Dish 9, as the whole stage revolves around that space theme. There's rockets that propel you forwards, teleporters that make for some really clever and fun platforming, and these olive bubbles that will send Peppino sky high. There's also these blocks that change from being solid to intangible, and man, they are creepy as hell, man. After that, we can take a moment and relax with a game of golf. Golf is a weird stage, as to progress you need to play golf. The better you do, the more points you get and all that fun stuff. The Pig City is interconnected by these taxis that ferry you from one spot to another, usually in order to collect a topping. It's also another Gustavo and Brick stage, as Peppino literally gets arrested about halfway through the stage. Also, when you take a taxi during pizza time, Pizza Face will be your driver, which Peppino takes about as well as he should be. Peppabot Factory has you running down conveyor belts, getting picked up by these hands in order to hit blocks and retain momentum, and smashing past robot Peppinos. Oh, and you get to go one step further in your pizza business by making yourself the pizza. The ultimate test of pizza skill. Oh shit! And I do mean the name of the stage when I say that. The stage is you getting pumped through pipes like it was a Super Mario game. You also get turned into a ball of what I hope is cheese. Refrigerator, freezerator, that's a mouthful. Ice level time! Who doesn't love slip and slide physics? The stage is literally a freezer. So if you, say, cut the power and turn off the cooling, the stage literally melts. It's a real fun twist on most ice levels and other platformers. Oh, yeah, and Santa shows up to deliver presents. It's kind of the same thing here. Pizza Scare is a fun twist on the vibes of Pizzascape. You have this ghost following you around pretty much the entire stage that'll possess various obstacles and what have you in order to harm or obstruct your progress. Other times you'll need him to possess a thing to progress, however. There's also this priest that'll give you a cross that'll then let you kill ghosts. Only lasts for a little though. Don't make a sound. This game is a horror stage. If you get caught by the main stage enemies here, prepare to be jump scared. Thankfully, the jump scares are not that bad. If Peppino gets spotted and doesn't take care of the snitch, these guys will turn on and then it's time to run. At least that is the case until you find a gun. At that point, they aren't too bad. War. War is easily one of my favorite stages of this game. Just behind my most favorite. War is that one stage where you need to be almost perfect in your execution of the level. The entire stage is on a timer, and the panic you feel when you're ticking down into the single digits, frantically looking for an extension to said timer, is surprisingly close to the adrenaline I get at the top of a roller coaster. You play through the entire stage with the shotgun and the music. Thousand March is easily in my top 5 favorite tracks. As you finish each stage, assuming you've collected the top-ends from the stages, you'll receive money depending on how much you collect. This cash can be used to purchase the boss gate of that floor from Mr. Stick, so be sure to be on the lookout for top-ends or else you'll find you're a bit short and have to go through a stage again to find some spare change. That said, the stages are so fun that it's less of a hassle to do if you really do end up needing to replay a stage. Each floor of the tower has a boss, and none start you off quite like the boss of the first floor, Pepperman. Mainly because he is the first boss. Gameplay during bosses is vastly different compared to normal platforming, as you'll instead use those reflexes and find control of Peppino's abilities to dodge, attack, and otherwise beat the sauce out of these bosses. Pepperman, being the first boss, is overall an easy time. His attacks are all basic, and upon seeing them once, you'll have a good idea of what he'll do in order to avoid it. You'll also have some help in the form of other enemies that are only there to distract you and make you take damage. The attack patterns for a boss are usually based on what stage their overall health is at as well. With full health, Pepperman will charge at you. If he misses and hits a wall, he'll be vulnerable to getting smacked. At 8 health, he'll charge at you again, but this time he'll turn around and charge the other way if you dodge the first rush. At 6 health, he'll jump up and drop down at you from the sky, becoming vulnerable if he misses. At 4 health, it's the same, only he'll bounce back up and become vulnerable once he then bounces off of the wall. If he touches the ground, he'll stop being vulnerable to damage. At 2 health, he'll start charging at you again, but this time if he hits a wall, he won't become vulnerable. You'll have to smack the blocks that fall down on either side of the stage to make a statue that'll distract him for him to become vulnerable. However, just because you've gotten him down to 0 health doesn't mean he's done with you yet. Each boss has 2 phases. Phase 2 begins immediately at this point, as their health goes back to full and all of their attacks get a bit more hectic. Pepperman's attacks stay roughly the same, only you have a lot more enemies and obstacles to keep an eye on. Once you go in for the last hit, you'll have one last thing to do. Grab that son of a bitch! If you don't, he'll return to his normal size and you'll have to do the last part over again. So please don't let him slip away! Once you've taken down a boss, they'll drop the key to that floor's elevator and will allow you to ascend up to the next level. Speaking of the next level, the boss of level 2 is the Vigilante. I hate this boss, God fuck! The Vigilante is easily the boss I had the most trouble with. To start, compared to Pepperman, you aren't using your normal moveset. You're using Peppino's neutral special. Gun! If keeping an eye on your chamber so you can fire the big shots wasn't annoying enough, adding the various attacks and distractions the Vigilante throws at you on top of it is a nightmare. He does not throw any punches, especially towards my ADHD brain. The last hit is thankfully no chase down like it was before, but instead a western standoff. And yes, no, I don't have to wait and I can just shoot, but I don't care and it was cool, alright? The boss of the 3rd floor is the Noise. I have grown to be less annoyed by this gremlin as time has passed. My first impressions were very much in the same vein as the Vigilante, but now I can clearly tell he's not as bad as the Vigilante was. That's not a high bar, but he has a lot of attacks that punish you for being reckless and rushing into things, which was where a lot of my annoyance came up. Oh yeah, and he flips him off. I found it both funny and relieving when the fight ended with his girlfriend dragging him away from the arena. The boss of the 4th floor is Peppino? Oh god, that is not Peppino! Meet fake Peppino? No, I don't know why he exists. No, I don't know how he does either. Fake Peppino is essentially, well, Peppino. All his attacks are variants of Peppino's moveset, the only real difference being that there's a lot of him, and that he can rip his head off and throw it at you. What? He might know everything you're going to do, but that's not going to help him because you know everything he's going to do. Strange, isn't it? Once you defeat him, you have an escape sequence to get the hell away from whatever that is. Once you reach the 5th floor, you're at the top of the tower. It's here where it can all be brought to an end. The nightmares, the mission, all of it. And to do that, we go to the one responsible. After realizing we need more toppins to buy the boss key. The lead up to the final boss is foreboding. Once you buy the boss key, it's a long run down towards the big bad, and once you get there, you find him showering? Yeah, no, we aren't waiting for you to dry off. Out the window and blast off to the very top of the tower. And here, with the silhouette of Peppino's Pizza in the background, the orange sky of twilight above us, is where we have our long-awaited confrontation with Pizza Face. Pizza Face is tough. The first phase is simple enough to get a hang of after a while, as he'll spawn enemies you need to grab and throw at him in order to deal damage. The last 2 points of health he has during this phase are the ones I find give me the most trouble, as once he's down to that stage, there are so many enemies spawn that it gets a bit hard to focus and be reactive to what's around you. Once you take him down to his second phase, the illusion is broken and the man behind Pizza Face, who I have just learned is named Pizza Head, pops out of the mechanized disguise. He'll also pull out a gun for you during this phase, which feels like a poor choice, in my opinion, but much like the Vigilante, you'll be focusing on dealing as much damage as you can with your gun while also dodging his attacks. I won't lie, I died a lot during the first 2 phases. I died a lot. I was pretty frustrated, and as I could see, so was Peppino! Since the start of the fight, Peppino's regular idle animation has been replaced with this. One where for once he's filled with more rage than anxiety. He actively fumes when he's not doing something else, and once you get to phase 3, he gets pushed over the limit. Phase 3 starts with Pizza Head showing that he's absolutely fine. And then, as the sky goes dark as clouds pull in from above, the thundering rain pouring down as lightning flashes in the sky, Pizza Head pulls out each and every boss we've beaten up to this point to join the fight against Peppino. After everything that's happened so far in his way up this tower, I'm not surprised Peppino snaps the way he does, but man, it sure is exhilarating to watch. Phase 3 is a boss rush. You fight condensed versions of the bosses you fought up to this point, and each hit you deal takes away a lot more than just 1 point of health from them. Peppermint is about the same, but the shenanigans with the statue crafting and all that are mainly gone to focus on the specifics. The Vigilante is a little bit better than before, since you're not stuck with the revolver like you were before, and Gustavo shows up during this phase to assist, by allowing him to be the thrown object to stun the bosses you fight. Any boss will get stunned by being hit by a thrown Gustavo, so if you see him, be sure to use him to give yourself an opening. Or, just accidentally throw him into the stratosphere because you were dashing into him. The noise and fake Peppino are about the same as the earlier 2. With Gustavo around and correct movements to dodge attacks, you can breeze through these guys with ease if you know what you're doing. I, in fact, did not upon first getting to phase 3, and have died more times in that phase than I have in the other 2. Once you've cleared this boss rush, it's back to you and Pizza Head. His moveset is different from phase 2, and as long as you're being careful, he's just as easy to take down as the others. Once you've taken down Pizza Head, you give him one final beatdown that literally sends the 2 of you up into the sky. Finishing with one final pile driver from on high down towards Pizza Tower, Peppino embeds the cause of his problems firmly into the roof of the tower. And then, with nothing to stand in his way from bringing the whole place down around him, Peppino smashes through the last pillar John, and we arrive at the last stage of the game, the Crumbling Tower of Pizza. The Crumbling Tower of Pizza is my favorite stage in this game. All throughout the game and the various floors of Pizza Tower, I have seen these blocks that I know become intangible during pizza time. So when we begin the crumbling tower of pizza, I know full well what's coming next. One last escape sequence through the entire overworld of the tower. Your escape out of the tower will have you joined by almost every character you've met up to this point, trailing behind you as you make your descent, bosses included. You'll get a taste of many of the gimmicks and power-ups you've played with during the main levels in brief moments of this escape. The level is already on a timer, and that timer is real close. Every run I've done of this stage has led me to finishing it with very little time left. Much like with War, you don't have a lot of room for error if you do want to do this properly. Bye Bye There is the song that plays during the escape sequence, and it is an absolute banger. It reuses a lot of the motifs from It's Pizza Time, and it really sells the idea that it's just a larger and more substantial version of those escape sequences. There's no lap 2 though, but by the time we finish our escape, I don't think there's a lot of tower left to even attempt such a thing. And with that, you've conquered the crumbling tower of pizza. Peppino can go back to his financially failing business, and as can all of these other guys that escaped the tower with you. And you can pat yourself on the back for a job, well, what does that mean? Pizza Tower has different endings depending on your level of completion. These are known as Peppino's Judgment. The lowest is the You Suck Judgment for getting below 50% completion. After that is Confused for 50 to 60% completion. That's the One, Officer is handcuffed to you for getting 61 to 71% completion. No Judgment is for 72 to 82% completion. Not bad at all, is for 83 to 94%. Wow is for 95% or higher. Holy shit is given for 95% completion or higher, but only if done under 4 hours. And lastly, You Are Quick as Hell is awarded for getting below 95% completion, but doing so under 2 hours. These completion ratings are based off of how many toppings you've collected, the number of secrets accessed, the number of tower secret treasures found, the number of stages beaten, bosses beaten, the ranks for each stage you complete, and the number of chef tasks you complete. Of course, there's one last loose end. Completing the game without collecting all of the secret treasures will leave us with a heap of rubble that was once Pillar John. But if we did collect all of the secret treasures, Gus will revive Pillar John, who will quickly knock the lights out of Pizza Head. Ah, retribution. I fell in love with this game the first time I ever saw it. Or more accurately, the YouTube algorithm shoved It's Pizza Time into my face abruptly, and I fell down the rabbit hole almost immediately afterwards. This game holds a special place in my heart, because there's a lot about it that makes me feel good about myself in some strange way. I can't properly point to what that is, so I choose instead to point at the whole. Pizza Tower is a complete experience, a full pizza pie. One that I would not hesitate in the slightest to replay should the want arise. Or, if this game ends up coming to the Switch, Turd to Pizza, seriously, bring this game to the Switch. I want Portable Peppino, please, I am begging! Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, by all means, please go ahead and subscribe, maybe like the video, share it with other people. It would be greatly appreciated right now. The frequency of my uploading of videos should be a lot quicker going forward, less because I have a lot more of these kinds of videos ready in the wings to get going. I don't. These take a lot of time to get together, as you've seen. But I do have plans for more ongoing content like Let's Plays and other videos of that variety to kind of place between these longer form videos. Speaking of said longer form videos, if you enjoyed this video on Pizza Tower, I have other videos on Metroid for the NES and Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. And who knows, maybe you'll enjoy those a fair bit. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time with whatever else we end up doing, and until then, Jana.